home defense from the zombie hordes. So we should be live.
Explore.
Yeah, YouTube is now streaming live. Let me see if I can find it. Here we go.
Do it live.
We're live. Do it live. See how many viewers we get.
We have to have like, I think we need to get a theme song.
Yeah, like an intro. Like nice synth kind of dark synth intro music.
And I think we need to have something like a broadcaster.
That's true. Like, welcome to another week of the Prepper Trifecta. Make it all dramatic.
Have some prizes for people that show up first. There's some dedicated people. They show up.
Yeah. Right here, we got Donna, we got SPQR, we got some great people showing up already. Appreciate it once again. And for those of you who haven't noticed yet, I'm unapologetically wearing an even more outrageous shirt than last time. What's up, Michael Smolensky? First, last, familiar faces. We'll let a couple people drip in. See if the topic for today, or one of the topics, I'm sure we'll cover multiple like we always do. Yeah, Turbo Kid has some great music in it. Some good 80s style dark synth and stuff like that. Perturbators, one if you heard of them, some good stuff. What's up? What's up?
Did you see that movie? I never saw Turbo Kid or the Turbo Kid. It was
yeah, it's a very like tongue-in-cheek 80s dystopian, like really going for that 80s kind of genre feel, but like mixed with Mad Max. So it's pretty fun.
I didn't like it.
You didn't like it?
No. Hello, Sean from Northern Illinois. That's a new name. Familiar face.
Yeah, see, my shirts are. I think my shirts are great. I agree with Donna.
So hold on, we had to.
Well, first of all, literally, these were just my shirts. I didn't do it for any particular reason. And then, but last time people were making fun of me like I was some retired army guy in Vietnam or something, like some expat who's like with a straw hat, drunkenly stumbling around Bangkok or something.
It goes to show how boring, my conversation was. People were talking about what we're wearing.
Yeah, exactly right. Maybe that's our problem? They were like, oh, what are these guys wearing anyway? Or you could go the other way and say that we're so attractive that our clothing is the only thing they could possibly make fun of.
Yep, that's it.
I did
get a little side note here. There's a gentleman named Sam Harris, who I follow. Yep. He's an author. I think he was a neurologist, neurosurgeon.
Yeah, I know who Sam Harris is.
In a great chat on April 23rd with a gentleman named Rob Reed, who talks about, he's an author, he's into tech, he's writing, and he's just talking about, it's odd to me because there's this like fruition where the episode is called Engineering the Apocalypse. And it just talks about how easy it would be for the average person to engineer a viral pandemic. And it baffled my mind because Sam Harris and this gentleman, Rob Reed, they seem like really, really smart guys. You think they would take the very next step, which would be to become preppers.
Right.
I think it certainly has to become more mainstream after this pandemic.
I wouldn't be surprised if to some extent a lot of these people are and just would never say anything about it for fear of being viewed as kooks. Because you always hear about, oh, the rich are all buying bunkers and all this and the farmland in New Zealand, but like you never hear people talking about it, like actors and rich people, with very few exceptions. So, I mean, they're definitely out there. I think a lot of people have it on their list as something that they would do if it wouldn't affect them financially at all, at least put some sort of preparations away. And when there's plenty of people that are at that level, they have so much money that just $1 million here and there is no big deal. So yeah, sure, I'll take some precautions for these possibilities. And there's not going to talk about it,
Yes, agreed. Probably two different types. There's the Kardashians that just have so much money and they don't give it a second thought. They get a bunker. Then there's other individuals that, the analogy I use is like waking up and breaking out of a shell. People get into the preparedness and they may get stuck on YouTube. And not to say anything about our audience here, but there's some people that they watch videos, spend 90% of their preparedness time listening to fear-mongering and bullshits from the YouTubers that just want to sell them useless products. So it's really important that, there's stages. That's what we call an armchair prepper. It's really important
Yeah.
to break those shells and go deeper down the rabbit hole, in my opinion. So I'm sure you're right. There's probably some out there that are in the latter category of, you know, they're obviously they wouldn't be public about it, but they're certainly taking it seriously. And I'd be surprised if Sam Harris and his Rob Reed, that interview, that it goes so in depth. They just say the plausibility is just, it's more likely to happen than not in the future. So why wouldn't you be? Brian Hickinbottom.
There you are. I appreciate it once again. We actually had titled this live stream about what you're talking about last week, and we're going to cover, hopefully pretty extensively, home defense options, since that's something you've requested, and you've been a great supporter of the live stream. So appreciate it once again. So that topic, and oh, Shay, real quick, someone had mentioned that they think that they like the side-by-side view better than the switching, which I think I went ahead and switched to for now, because I think with 2 people it works. I think when we have a third, it's too small and it's better to have the speaker pop up. But when it's just the 2 of us for now, I'll stick with the side-by-side, so it's not flipping back and forth. Let people let us know how it works out. But yeah, it's funny that you, just to what you were just saying, I think I'd mentioned this before way back when, but I can't remember, is that they did some kind of psychological study, and they found out that certain things like watching videos about it or finding information or even writing lists or telling people what you plan to do, those all hit the same part of the reward center in the brain as actually doing the items. So it's a way of people like feeling like they're doing something about whatever it is that's bothering them, even though they're not really taking any steps. So like if you're afraid of something and then going on YouTube and watching all these videos, figuring out about it actually feels the same to your brain as like, okay, I'm doing something, I can relax, I'm taking action, the same as if you went and actually got supplies or prepared, even though you're not really taking action. I mean, to some extent, you obviously have to collect information, but people get stuck in that zone. I think that's one of the reasons is you're tricking your brain into thinking that you're doing something about this, whatever it is.
Absolutely. And you know what? You just made me think of something. You're spot on there. I would say that people involved in the conspiracy realm of things, it's like the dog chasing the tail, where they watch a video and they watch another video and they watch another video, and then suddenly they're introduced to the Flat Earth Society.
Right. Yeah, right.
This rabbit hole of conspiracy theories from preparedness comes into play, and you're right. People are fooled. Put it this way: take any YouTuber, any prepper in North America, break down what they quantify as learning about prepping, educational knowledge, and I guarantee a majority of that time is watching a YouTube channel from somebody that's trying to sell you a product or a service or use fear. They don't actually, there's no intrinsic value or utility with respect to what they're saying. It's just, hey, I'm the authority, it's coming down. Well, you know the song. That's right. Yeah, you gotta listen to me. You know, shit's gonna happen. I had one guy, this idiot, we'll just call him Paranoid Minds, and he said, so what did he say? He was like, yo, get your shit together. Get your shit, you guys gotta get your shit. Who are you? You know, like.
Well, also that's not actionable advice. And I was just gonna say, you know, like it's one thing to say, here's a potential problem, here's how to deal with that, which is pretty much what we've done on this channel. It's like, hey, here's a pandemic. This is what we would do or are doing. Here's a potential situation. Here's what you should do about it. A lot of these channels pick a headline. They talk about how it's dangerous, how it's going to kill everyone, but they never even mention what you would theoretically even do to prepare for that or do when it happens. They just say, like you said, get your shit together. Like, you better be prepared. It's like, okay, how would we get prepared for this? You know, and I'm not asking for myself. Is that a jingle bell? It's a reindeer bell.
Yeah, sorry, I'm listening. I was just going to.
Yeah, no, I was like, that was it. I'm just saying they don't actually. It'd be one thing if you said, here's a scenario, whether it's hypothetical or not, you know, and then here's what you would do about it. And that's a lot less fear mongering than just being like, oh my God, crops are all dying. We're all going to die. Hope you're prepared. You know, like tell people in a food shortage, this is what you would have to do to be prepared.
Speaking of which, this is a good segue to actually teach a practical tidbit of information. So Brian asked about access control or home invasions. Here's one take. We talked about this before, but I've got a little flair that I've added to it, which is if you are being invaded by we'll just say it's you know that it's nefarious or malicious intents. So there's no shadow of a doubt. One technique would be to set off a few of these smoke bombs. And that's going to do a couple of things for you. The first thing it's going to do is going to give you time. because they won't be able to see anywhere in your place because it's filled with smoke, and that could be enough of a deterrent right there.
And they won't know if it's just smoke or tear gas or toxic gas or fire, so they might just leave then.
Well, yeah, and on top of that, they won't be able to steal anything because they won't be able to see anything.
Yeah.
The compliment that I would add to that is near the entranceways, you'd obviously want to strategically set yourself up to have your rifle. You would want to be in a strategic place to shoot, but set up a few of these near the entranceways, because guess what? If they decide to stumble around in the smoke, you got the home base advantage. That you should know the layout of your place, where you have to. Doesn't matter where you are, wherever you live, you should be able to walk through it blindfolded. So there's a huge advantage there. And if one was inclined and it was a home invasion and it was a post SHTF situation, guess what? They can't see, and you can hear them. They'll identify where they are.
Also, if you made it slightly different, like a cowbell one or a cowbell one area, one of those somewhere, a chime, then you would know which spot they were at just by hearing the sound.
Different pitches.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Just make sure you always know what you're shooting at. Don't just shoot into the smoke.
Sure, but even at that, fair enough. You wouldn't be able to see as well necessarily. Well, not necessarily. You certainly wouldn't be able to, but you would know the layout of your apartments.
So you could move around, and they probably couldn't very effectively.
If it was me, I'd probably be stationary, and I would know north, east, west, and I would know living room, kitchen, and whichever room they enter, they're done. And it's a pretty unique safety mechanism. E.J. Snyder on tonight, knife for home here now. No,
not yet.
Tried with E.J. I think it was 3 times now.
He's kept having stuff come up, so we'll probably try again at some point and see if it. If he's just.
I don't know if is he like pulling my chain or something.
Or if he just has the worst luck ever for the past few months. It's possible.
Yeah. I'd give his knife a roll. I mean, I did bash him up a bit. But I have respect for him. I do. Because he came back and we've had a few conversations. And a knife is just such a personal thing. His was just hyped up. It's overpriced. EJ, I mean, you got to come on and defend your honor here. I'd love to talk about your knife. I'd love to do a review on it with one in my hand. But
yeah, so at some point, hopefully he was willing to. So we'll see. He should still be able to come on at some point, hopefully.
The Tom Brown tracker knife. Some people swear by it, and the guy is a genius. He really is. You're familiar with him.
I've heard. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not familiar with his knife, but
he's got his own style knife. It became popular through a movie called The Hunted with Benicio del Toro and I forget his name. But anyways, it just I think it was overhyped personally, in spite of the fact that the man was. Well, you could drop him off anywhere in the world naked, and he would be thriving 30 days later. Tom Brown Jr.
Oh, it's a Tops too, which I'm a big fan of Tops knives.
Yes.
They're legit. So.
Oh yeah.
But that's one thing too. Like, there's a lot of knives that would fall into the perfectly serviceable, usable, but they can still be overpriced. You know what I mean? Doesn't mean that it's a piece of junk. Like, if it's a Tops knife, I'm sure it's a high quality knife. It's just.
Oh yeah.
Is it worth $300? Who knows?
Yeah. No. And the micarta, actually, for the people watching this, micarta is a fantastic material, knife handle material. It's basically just cloth layered
linen and it's pressurized.
Yeah, but Tops does something especially different. I love micarta from Tops compared to all other knife manufacturers. I spoke to them at some convention years ago about this. Is they sandblast the micarta on their handle, and as you sweat that grip, it just becomes stronger. So Tops is certainly an excellent knife manufacturer. I was not, and I had a Tom Brown tracker knife. The guy's a genius, but I'm not a big fan of his knife. Just the profile just didn't suit my personal needs. Nothing against him for the knife, just like the EJ,
Yeah.
Good evening, MJ.
Yeah. Good evening. Yeah. So we are covering, if you're proficient at stabbing, Mora HD is useful. Yeah, Moras have obviously gotten a lot of people in bushcraft that like them. It's a smaller knife. They're extremely inexpensive, which is awesome. And it helps to have a knife that you can do, fine work with, because a lot of people go for these massive, and I like massive knives too, but I like actually even have one of each. you know, because there's certain things you just can't do with a Mora. It's so small, but it's fantastic for a lot of bushcraft type stuff.
It depends on what your objective is. I mean, there's a swedge is a big giveaway for me when I see a person's knife, which is the part of a knife where the tip has got this point right here. Nobody can see that. That's called a swedge, and it's designed for this sort of motion.
Right.
And I don't particularly see myself in a lot of situations where I'm going to be engaging in a knife fight, where I'm going to be going to
actively stabbing. Yeah.
Stabbing, yeah. That's just me personally, and yeah, you know, I'm guilty of that too. I had a Becker 9, which is made by K-Bar, and I think it was like a 9-inch blade. It was a very long blade.
I have the BK9. It's fucking awesome. But yeah, they're just huge. Okay. They're huge.
Yeah, it's a big knife. Becker 2 is a good. I don't know if you've seen that one. It's a smaller profile.
Yeah, that's what I have. Yeah,
that's a good one. That's okay. Yeah. I mean, if that's got my seal of approval, whatever that's. So, okay. So no, DJ's not on. No fear mongering. Cool.
But yeah,
what's your tip? I gave Brian.
Well, I actually had a few things. So I was gonna cover 3 topics of home defense, which basically anything you can do to protect where you're at and yourself comes down to 3. I wrote them down so I wouldn't forget it. In my mind, at least, this is how I would describe it: is you have deterrence options, you have detection options, and then you have actual defense options. So deterrence would be anything that would like dissuade someone from trying to break into your house or whatever. So it could be physically blocking them with walls and cactuses and stuff like that. It could be things like lights, dogs, you know, visible cameras, things like that they would notice, or things that make it seem like someone's at home when you're not really home. So like any stuff like that would actively make someone think twice about breaking into your place are all pretty good options. And then detection would be the next step, is making sure that if that doesn't work and they still decide to break in, you at least know about it. So again, a dog can work for that as well. If they're going to bark, you can have alarms, you can have motion sensing lights and cameras. Those are pretty much most of the options for detection. And then when it gets past all that and you have to actively deal with the person that is still, or people who are still breaking in, that's when you get into your defense options. And they can be passive defense, like bulletproof vest, or they can be, you know, guns, knives, pepper spray, whatever, stuff like that. So, and I mentioned last time that a couple of the differences between like handguns and shotguns. And I actually spoke with my dad right after that, and he brought up a really good point about the shotguns, which are, even though they're great for inside the house, you can't really like casually or discreetly answer the door with a shotgun the same way you could with a pistol. Like if you hear somebody knocking and you're like, all right, they're knocking, they're not like kicking in my door, but it's still shady for whatever reason, you don't necessarily want to go up to the door just brandishing a shotgun. You can casually, you know, or discreetly have a pistol. So that is an excellent point. If it just happens to be a UPS person or someone be like, oh, my car broke down, you know, let me in to use your phone. In which case you should always just say like, wait there, I'll call the police, they'll meet you outside, kind of thing. Never really no reason to let them into your house, because that's a lot of times people will kind of just do that as a ruse. So they'll be casing, they're actually just checking to see if anyone's home. They're not really expecting anyone to answer. So then if you do, they'll come up with some bullshit as to why they're there. But
it reminds me, yeah, no, that's good. That's a really good way to strategize things by breaking things down into logical different phases.
Yeah.
And obviously every element can act as a deterrent. It reminds me of one technique, and I might sound like a broken record here, I think I've mentioned in the past, which is if, you know, in more severe circumstances, we'll just say no rule of law, I would do one of 2 things. It's either give the illusion of security or certainly ramp things up, board your windows, things like that. Or go conversely the other way, which is to give the illusion that you've already been ransacked. So smash all your windows, take your belongings, throw them out on the yard, and even go so far too as getting maybe like a rotting raccoon corpse or something like that. It could act as a deterrent, I think, in some respects. And I mean, if there's a house, one house on the block looks like it's been decimated, and 3 other ones beside it look okay, then guess what? The criminals are probably, well, you know, I would assume they're probably going to pay more attention to the house that looks like it hasn't been touched, as opposed to
right. So especially depending on what the type of scenario is. So in the pandemic, if you have if it's a pandemic, you have a body string house all like exploded and stuff on the doorstep, you probably aren't going to go through there. Or like you said, if you could be deterred by it looking like too tough of a target, you can also deter them by it seeming like a pointless target. Like there's no gain there from breaking into an empty house. So if you don't have any options for fortifying, then that would be another one, is to just give them other reasons to pass it by.
Got smashed windows and all the dresser drawers and everything is ransacked. It would be a shitty thing to do because there's a lot of sentimental value that people have with your items. But if you gave their impression, then obviously anybody going through your house, all the cupboards are open, there's nothing there. It would give that illusion that you've been victimized already.
Yeah.
Which obviously is not necessarily the case.
Right. I imagine that would be more of a last-ditch effort,
Well, yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah, I didn't smash my windows last year.
Right. First thing, you're just like, all right, let's burn this place down and make it look like it's disgusting.
Ken did. We didn't smash. He boarded up and left his house for 4 months or something like that.
Who did?
Dan. Bug out Dan.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he boarded. Boy, I don't think he smashed anything, but he boarded up all his food. Left. 4 months, went to a cottage. Marion Atkinson. JJ disagrees.
He wrote, he said JJ covered the abandoned look in his video this week. Oh, I guess he had just covered this topic.
Yeah, I wonder where he got the idea from. Just saying.
Yeah, so SBQR says, keep your house extra messy, for preparedness reasons. Exactly. That's what I'm doing. I'm making it look uninviting.
I'm practicing,
Yeah, I'm defending against invaders, all right? Don't move my junk.
Yeah. Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for joining us. How many episodes do you think we're in now?
Oh, wow. That's a good question. I could probably count at some point. Like I said, I don't think we've hit 100 yet. Do you think we've hit 100?
We should probably track that down. We should,
I'll find out.
Well, figure out how many he's done.
I can easily show how many I've hosted, but then we used to JJ did most of them in the beginning, so I would have to go back on his channel.
They would count. They'd have to count.
Yeah, it's easier to count. I mean, if the ones on my own channel, because I can just put them all.
We'll hear the guests though. We should have a contest.
Yeah, exactly. The over/under I would put it like 85 maybe for the over/under.
What do you mean over/under? Over/under.
Like you choose, are we higher than that or lower than that? And it should be at a point where it's a hard decision to make. So like if I say it's 200, like okay, everyone knows we haven't done 200 yet, so they would all bet under. But it's supposed to be at a point. It's a gambling thing. Sorry, I'm in Vegas.
Yeah, that's a safe number. I would have to agree. Probably around 80.
My guess is we're getting close to 100, but I don't think that we're there yet.
We should track it down and get.
Yeah, I gotta find out.
Candles or something for that episode.
Yeah, right.
Aslan, thanks very much, William. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up. Yeah, that bothers me about videos lately, and I never say that on my channel. I don't think I ever have.
Said what?
Hit the bell and all that bullshit. It doesn't bother me. It boggles my mind how I look at other channels. They don't even start the speech. 30 seconds in, I don't know who they are, and they say, if you're new here, hit the like button, hit the subscribe.
Well, I don't know if I like you yet. Why am I gonna hit the like button?
Exactly.
Here we have someone asking, are we burning the Che Guevara shirt tonight? I love a good Kami roast.
Kami roast, all right. That's a good question. So hold on, we should probably backtrack that story. We'll start with you're wearing that shirt tonight, almost out of retaliation.
Yeah. Well, first off, I just have these shirts. I didn't buy these because people. But then last time, people were making fun of both of our clothing because I looked like a weird.
That's how disconnected we are from the audience. They're
just roasting us. We're here busy trying to educate them, and we're getting roasted. Yeah. So then, and Che had a Che Guevara shirt on.
Yes.
And so these people were in the comments were enraged at the sight of the communists, for good reason. And he said for $50 we burn the shirt. So they did post a $50 bond. So what do you think? Can we do it?
That is a perfect time to segue into a new highlighted feature that we're going to do every week, which is Jay's going to burn whatever the hell you want for money.
As long as you pay. Yeah. What else you want me to burn?
CLM, they have ignored that question earlier.
Oh, I didn't see it earlier, honestly. I missed it.
Questions. Look you got us here, folks. You got a question, all caps. We're both seasoned preppers here. I mean, I've been doing this for years. I'm the Ontario Prepper Survival Network. Many events with that group, you know, everything from making bannock, different types of off-grid bread, to riding a bike out into the forest, disassembling it, and creating a bicycle generator for the audience.
That's awesome.
Which is kind of cool. So, yeah, please ask us any questions. Sure, want to share your screen and give them an update on a video clip?
Yeah.
To that. You want to do that now?
We do have, yep, I'll do it right now. Let me see. We won't have audio because I don't really have because I'm wearing headphones. So if I play, I don't think this clip has audio anyway, correct?
There's no audio, but where's Marco? Because he's the guy that's
was it Marco?
This new segment. I haven't seen him in the chat yet. So
All
probably the backstory, to continue what you were saying is, I had a shirt with Che Guevara on it, and you know, last week, and people just like with all the rage, just pissed off. The gentleman named Marco
Offered $50 if you would burn it.
And I was like, hell yeah. Okay. It came from a friend of mine, that shirt, and it was a business thing that actually, the shirt had nothing to do with it, but we had a business thing, and it didn't pan out the way I wanted it to. And when I make my millions, I'll be giving that guy a call to return on his investment. That's all I'm going to say. So,
but in the meantime, here's his shirt.
Here's the shirt.
All right, can you guys see it? You seeing this? Can you see that, Shay?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Press and play. What do you got plugged into that? Is that a generator? Oh, there it is. There's the shirt. Going into the flames. Oh, man, there it is. Boom. Roasty toasty. Commies are getting roasted. And we're going to let it play so you can see that you didn't just whip it out of the fire real quick.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's definitely charred there.
Complete immolation. Yeah. What is that you have plugged in there? Was that electric fire starter, or is that a charger of some kind?
That was actually, it was for my an advanced prepper concepts video.
There you go.
We're starting. So I figured I got a fire going anyways. I might as well burn the shirt at the same time. So
nice.
This is awesome. Look at this. Brian again.
Wow. Thank you, Brian, so much. Said if you review the best tryptophan boots in the near future. Absolutely. I mean, I'll go over my take on it. I'm far from a shoe wear expert, but I definitely have some thoughts on the matter. I've tried some things out, and the latest thing that I'm interested in is really lightweight, like minimalist footwear. I have a pair of Red Wings, which are fantastic, great quality. I've had military boots, and I also know I'm looking into these really lightweight shoes, which have their advantages and disadvantages too. So I'll go over that for sure. And SBQR says fashion, preparedness, gray man, or flamboyant colors versus obvious gear. In other words, concealment or warding off. Looking good is important, though. Yeah, you always got to look fly, you know. There's still going to be ladies in the apocalypse.
Thanks for the donations. That's great.
Yes, and of course we keep our, appreciate the donations, guys.
Yeah,
and CLM says, he did it. Way to go, boys. Kept your word. Of course. Who would we be if we didn't keep our word?
You have to. You know, it was an honorable thing to do. $50. I don't know about you, but it's not a lot of money, but it's enough for me to take notice if you donate it.
Yeah.
Just
it's not $5.
Like with SP Cincinnatus, just call them.
Yeah.
I got it's appreciated because we've been doing this for a long time without, you know, I don't do this for money every Sunday.
Yeah, I certainly don't.
And it's certainly nice to get an appreciation with these super chats for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's great. And we've mentioned this before, but it's just fantastic to see the same faces here every week. That people actually enjoy it, having a good time. That's great.
Yeah,
it's worth as much as any donation for sure. My home defense carpet tack strips will love you, man. There was a one spot I had in Florida, my house had this brutal tack strip that just was just always shredding my feet.
Brutal what strip? A brutal
A tack strip where they like affix carpet to the concrete. It's
okay.
like and it was an old what's it called? It's like a finished concrete floor, like you would see in Albertsons or something. And I forget the name of it. Terrazzo, is that the word? A terrazzo floor? Anyways, really ugly. And they put carpet on top of it and then removed it. So there were like these how they'd affixed it. Some of it was a little left, like these metal pieces, and I would just shred my feet on the same spot every time.
There's something to be said here for, I forgot I was mentioning about walking barefoot. There's certainly something to be said about our connection to soil and the way that our skin interacts with soil. I think there's some sort of chemistry scientifically proven that it's beneficial to get your hands interacting with dirt.
Yeah, I mean, there's as far as the footwear goes, there's all sorts of stuff. I mean, some people are into like, it's important to be grounded electronically, like otherwise you build up static and stuff like that without the insulation. Then there's you could look into just the physiology of how like a cushioned stiff foot affects you walking and every other part of your posture and everything versus like a flexible. And a lot of people seem to think that like supporting the arch is what maintains it, when actually it's probably seems to be the case anyways, that using your foot properly and the actual mechanics of like flexing it and using it is what actually keeps your arches and your foot strong.
Yeah, it's certainly an interesting byproduct for getting into preparedness, or even the more specifically the bushcraft sort of stuff, is have an appreciation for the lack of connection we as humans have, because our brains can't really process all this. Technology is evolving so quickly, our brains can't process. Well, they can, but it's overwhelming. So being able to disconnect from all the noise pollution and go into the woods and having a shelter or building a shelter, playing with doing bushcraft related stuff, turning off your phone, shutting off technology. Okay, well, Brian, you got my attention now. This is the third one tonight.
It says, I will donate $100 for the Shit Fan boot review video. You have my word on it. I want to make an informed decision with your advice. There's no need for that. I mean, you've donated more than enough. I'll make a video on it, and I will. I can't promise that my advice would be that on shoes would be that worthwhile anyway. But definitely don't keep your money. I'll make a video on it for sure, and on my thoughts anyway. You've definitely supported it enough. Sure, I appreciate that. Definitely.
So Brian wants to know the best boot.
Yeah, thoughts on. I mean, let's see. The original question was a review of the best Shit the Fan boots in the near future.
That's a Dan question, I think.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like I said, I have some thoughts. I'll make a video on it for sure. But next time we get Dan on here, we'll definitely have him go over that as well.
Maybe I'll forward that in advance, because he's the type of guy he'll research and he'll
have like some specific recommendations and stuff.
Read books on boots.
Yeah, yeah.
Emergency survival tips. Interesting name.
Now when someone says burn Shay's boots for no reason. $500.
$500.
Yeah.
I wonder where we should burn next. Maybe we're gonna make the
right. Just keep it rolling in, keep the money. I got lots of stuff I can burn. Yeah, who knows? The sound of a pump shotgun racking the slide is a deterrent. It sure is, but like I was mentioning, it's also a polarizing thing. You know what I mean? You're definitely telegraphing what's going on. So, and you better really know what the situation is before you do something like that, because now you've lost the element of not surprise per se, but you're no longer discreet. Let's put it that way. And also, if the person on the other side of the door, whatever it is, it could be a cop or something, and now they're in freak out mode because they think you're going to shoot at them or something. So you got to be very certain that that's necessary before you do something like that.
Cody Lundeen was accused of slowing down the team. I don't know what that means. Oh, because he was barefoot?
Because he was always barefoot?
Yeah, from Dual Survival. Do you remember him?
Yeah. And he would always go everywhere barefoot, yeah.
I think it was more of I'd love to get to hear it. You see, he was an obviously very intelligent guy, and he knew primitive skills exceptionally well. But the reasoning why he went barefoot all the time, even in snowy conditions, I'd love to know more about his rationality as to why. Probably something there. I don't know about slowing down the team. It's a shame that he got kicked off. because I got a bit of a beef with Joe Tedai. I actually did an arguing with survival experts video against Joe Tedai. And if for the regular audience watching this, they probably know about Bug Out Dan. And
Really?
I've known him for years. And one of the core fundamentals with respect to a Bug Out bag is with Dan, as you guys have seen, is weight.
Yeah, he's all about streamlining
weight and practicality. And this was my argument against Joe Tedai 5 years ago. Former military, rah sort of mentality. No offense, Eric, you're not of that. You're not of that caliber. There's some guys that are overwhelmingly just, I can, pack it. What's the phrase here? Suck it up, buttercup. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Put on your rough, do it. And Joe Tedai, I remember seeing this video. This was more than 5 years ago. I saw this video with Joe Tedai, and you'd think he's a survivalist, a prepper, like a hardcore badass fofo, right? He's on TV. He must know something. He's got this video on Bug Out bags. Joe Tedai's Bug Out bag. So it's got to be good, right? It's Joe Tedai. It's celebrity. It's on TV. He pulls out bolt cutters and cardinal rule,
like 12-pound bolt cutters.
Yeah, not joking. Like really big and heavy bolt cutters. He's like, he's, no, dude, you're off your rock. So that was my argument against him. No offense to him, but in a post-SHTF situation, it's a resource game. So if resources come back to energy, energy comes back to how many calories you burn. If you're carrying on bolt cutters.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and there's just plenty of scenarios where they would be useful, but in terms of, like you said, you have a limited amount of space, whatever you determine, and weight. So whatever you determine that to be, for some people, they may legitimately be able to, if you're Brock Lesnar and you can put a 100-pound pack on and you're like, fine, okay, you can carry 100 pounds. But still, no matter what that limit is, bolt cutters are so far down the list that you would never get to them, even if it was a 500-pound pack, probably. You know what I mean? You'd be carrying more ammo and food and other things before you would bother carrying bolt cutters.
Yeah, but that was his thing.
It's so specific and also heavy and bulky that it's gonna.
Yeah, exactly. But
in a vehicle kit, sure. But
sure, yeah, you got room in the sure bolt cutters in there, dude. Put everything in the trunk.
Yeah, whatever you want, as long as you got the space.
This, like, he had his bag on the table. He's taking stuff out. It's okay. I got it. Electrolytes and different medical stuff and this and that, and then bolt cutters. And that was like, no, you're off your game. Michael Smolensky, what are your thoughts on the use of tanglefoots around a bug out for camp security? What is tanglefoots?
Tanglefoot is any sort of, people use string or barbed wire or cable or anything that's just like clumps of cable or string that you can't like necessarily walk through because it literally tangles your feet up. And so at least that's how I understand how it's used. And sometimes you can use certain plants, you can use like a man-made materials and things like that. I think for a bug out camp security, I mean, anything in a bug out camp, you're going to have only what you took with you. And from what we were just talking about, like, you're not going to be rucking out like a massive amount of tanglefoot material, you know what I mean, to be able to encircle your entire camp, unless you were having like a vehicle caravan or something. So I think there's other options that would probably make more sense for a camp. If you have, like I said, if you have a fixed location, that would be a different story. Then you could set up all sorts of security stuff. If you have say 10 acres in the woods somewhere, go nuts, do whatever you want. But for like a camp, like if you're bugging out on foot or in vehicles, it's probably, again, going to be pretty low on the list just for space and weight considerations.
Agreed. I mean, you can certainly do a geostash. I mean, if you've got your location, you're going to this location.
Right. You can have them there ahead of time.
The ideal perfect scenario is you're going to drive there in the allotted time. But it's better to plan, in my opinion, to make it so that you're on foot and you're walking. Then you can break down. I've done this in the past to break down how many kilometers or miles you walk a day. If you're really sharp, you'll actually do it so that you and or one of your members has injury, so that if you're limping, you can only go so far within, the 4 locations: camp here, camp here, camp here, camp here. Get to your bug out location. You could certainly have geostashes.
Sure.
I wouldn't carry tangled material in my bug out bag, but if I knew it was plausible, it was on foot, I would have them strategically stashed in addition to other materials in a jail stash en route to bug up locations.
Oh, here goes back to OG Skywatch says home doors are weak as fuck. Yes, actually, and I think I mentioned this in the last video briefly, but that if I was going to, other than having a firearm and knowing how to use it, I think the single most important thing you can do for home security is bolster your doors. Because something like 80% of home invasions just occur through people coming in through the front door because it's either unlocked, which is that's your own stupid fault, or they just kick it in. Because even if you have the beefiest lock ever with a solid adamantium deadbolt, that deadbolt's still only going through basically a 2x4 that's been drilled out for it to fit. So you have maybe a half an inch, probably more like a quarter of an inch of wood of pine on either side of that deadbolt. So that's all you have to break to get inside. So you can put a metal strike plate in there, and then you can also add a security door. I think helps a lot too, like a storm door, security door. It's just a metal door basically outside your regular door, and that together will make it much, much more difficult to simply break into your house. While it's still not impossible, it should give you at least probably dozens of seconds, if not minutes, as opposed to one kick, basically blasting open your door. You'd have to at least pound on it for a while.
Yeah. Okay. And even considerations too for some people that have glass within their door.
True. Yeah. If it's where you can reach to the handle, that's a consideration.
Yeah, that's a really important statistic that you brought up. Is majority of home invasions go through the front door. I know in Ontario, Canada, where I'm from, there is a limitation. There's regulations in the Ontario Building Code for. Don't quote me on this, but I think you can only build up your door so much because the police or any sort of enforcement will. Basically, they want to ensure to have the capacity to kick it in.
Really, that's so fucked up. Like you can't make it tough because we will need to break in one day. It's like Jesus, that's fucked.
Yeah,
that's some slave shit right there. Hate it.
That
makes me want to bolster more than anything.
You
know what I was thinking about? If I had like a compound type place or out in the woods, I was thinking about making build the house out of concrete block or whatever to make it really tough. And then I would have a front door that was, the recessed concrete, and then just have a door there, but it wasn't really a door. It was literally just the wall with like a door there. And then the real door would be somewhere else around the back or hidden or whatever. And so people would be like pounding on it all day, and it would just be the wall.
Good idea.
Yeah.
This is an interesting twist. CLM, you guys should do a show about which three people you draft for SHTF, the SHTF apocalypse, and why. Can be anyone from President.
That would be fun.
Next week.
Does it have to be, you're talking about real people, I'm assuming? Not like movie characters and stuff. I think we should do real people, right?
It's interesting. Yeah, let's let CLM decide. Fake people, real people,
or both.
Well, if it's fake, I would choose Dr. Manhattan from the Watchmen.
That's true, yeah, right. But he might do something weird and kill you too.
You got all the superpowers. Superman, that would be number 2.
Yeah, right. There you go. And then someone who can make food, or someone really hot to round out the
Marilyn Monroe back when she was
like, yeah, her peak times. Marshall Davis said, "Is that actually true?" But I have no idea to what you're referring
to. Who said that? Let me be with the door.
Marshall Davis just said, "Is that actually true?" But I'm not sure. Is he talking about what Chase said about the Canadian police, or about what I said about the doors?
They're not talking about us at all. They're in their own world in the chat room.
Yeah, right.
CLM did reply, yes, real people.
Real people. Okay. So 3 real people from present time. So they have to be currently alive.
Okay. So the post-apocalypse super team. Cool.
So which 3 people? Interesting.
Well, it certainly won't be Bear Grylls on my list.
Yeah, you can't draft Jesus. Good point. Man, I'm probably not gonna be good at this because I don't know a lot of I'll have to actually do a little research so we can tinker. Maybe back in the day. She's probably 65 now.
I don't think it would be survive. Well, okay, we'll keep it there. We're not gonna say anything, and I will we'll reconvene next week, and the topic is going to be top 3 Apoco, short for apocalypse. What do we call this? The
draft team for Apocalypse.
draft for
Three-person SHTF fantasy draft.
No, fantasy drafts. Cool. That's actually a cool idea.
That is cool, and you guys can think about what you would post in the comments next week about what we would.
Yeah, I'd love to hear what our audience would suggest for their fantasy drafts. It's never been done before. I don't think.
No, that's a pretty cool idea.
Yeah. It has to be real people. So anywhere in time, I guess, right? So you can, like Genghis Khan, you know, we had all communists get Stalin.
Yeah, exactly. That's like, how do you like it? Just so you can kill him. Bring him with you, just so you can have him there to destroy.
Bring Stalin to a compound and be, all you people need to listen to me.
Right. That would be fantastic.
Bert Gummer, yeah, from Tremors. No, that, you know, I guess he was kind of a prepper. It was kind of sad with him because that was a movie with, I guess it was late 80s, 90s.
Which movie?
Tremors.
Oh yeah, Tremors. Yeah.
Yeah, he was in a show with Michael J. Fox called Family Ties. That was the big hit for him. You know, like he's the father in it, right? And then, you know, the show ended, and then he was like the prepper guy in Tremors, and it kind of, you know, it was the first movie was okay, but now they're on like Tremors Part 6.
Oh yeah, they're flying around and everything. Didn't they even have a show for a while on like a Sci-Fi Channel? They had a Tremors show, I believe.
I don't know. This is just a sad way to end his career. He's gripping on this Bert Gummer character, you know.
But isn't that what else was he though? That's the only character I know that he's ever really done.
Family Ties. That's it. And then he did this. You know, first Tremors was good, but it's not like it's getting better.
No,
you know?
They're just kind of bleeding it dry. Yeah, like you're saying.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, okay, what's the budget? You know, 450,000. We get Bert back in or whatever his name is. Well, you know, we can probably make some money, so let's redo it. But he certainly was a prepper in that movie.
Is the YouTube channel hosts included? Yeah, sure. I mean, the criteria is only they have to be a current real person. It can be anyone.
Oh, I wouldn't even consider a YouTube.
No, but I'm saying they're fair game if you want.
They are. Who are you like? No offense, but these preppers, fear mongering guys are going to choose Ice Age.
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't know. Yeah.
The whole time you're like, guys.
Well, like you're saying, it doesn't have to be a prepper. It could be someone who's on there because they're a trick shot guy and can blast like 15 people in a second. You know what I mean?
Oh, that made me think of one. I got one definitely on my team. Definitely. All right. I'm liking this. CLM, whatever that means. What a great topic idea.
Calcium, lime, and oh no, that's CLR.
Magnesium.
Yeah, magnesium. Well, there's I don't know if they have in Canada, but there's this cleaning stuff called CLR, calcium, lime, and rust.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I didn't.
Yeah, calcium, lime, and
rust. I think it was. Yeah, rust.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I've got one.
Well, people have been clamoring for. I haven't had it in yet, but I'll think about it. People have been clamoring for memes. You said you had one or two.
Well, I have to congratulate a regular viewer that sent me an email, and his name is Doug, and him and his wife are regular watchers to the show. I don't think they comment very often or very much. I don't think I've seen Doug in the comment section, but he did send some memes, and I forwarded them to you.
Oh yeah, okay. I only have. I'll look in a second. I mean, I saw the email. I'll pull them up in a second. I only have one of my own, so I'll show that. Actually, so let me download yours.
And maybe you could share them on your screen as well, Eric, when you have a second.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'll show you. Here's the only one I have right now. Where after listening to his owner drone on for hours, Ralph suddenly realized he was not cut out to be an emotional support dog after all. He's like, this guy's fucking lame. All right, so let me pull up yours. Make sure I get them. Check my email. All right. Look for memes. All right, here we go. I got them. So
yeah, he's got a question about gardening as well. So maybe we can get into that after.
Who does?
Doug.
Okay, cool. Okay, gardening question. We still need to get David the Good on. I need to get back in touch with him. All right, give me just a second to put these in the right folder.
Gilligan died in 2005. Oh, Canadian garden girl.
Gilligan died?
Gilligan? Is that like Gilligan's Island, that guy?
I think so. Yeah, they're talking about him from earlier. Okay, I got your memes. All right, here we go. You ready?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Here we go. First one says, not sure if ENP stands for electromagnetic pulse or EMP. They actually misspelled it. Or enjoys massive penis. But I know what it stands for when I say it. That's not the latter. And then we have bad news. NASA has detected an immense solar flare that will cause frequent internet and television outages. The good news is Comcast customers are unlikely to notice a difference. Man, too soon. No, for here it's Cox Cable, but same thing. No good. And then the sun is sneezing, roasts the whole planet. It says, thankfully, the sun doesn't have allergies or frequent major solar flares that reach Earth. Sneezing on us, roasting everything.
Thank you, Doug. Appreciate that. There's a follow-up question here. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this.
Oh, shit, I'm probably not either. What do we got?
Spring and summer approaching. It says this is an email I got. If you have questions, then you can email Eric at rulethewasteland@gmail.com or myself at info@ontariopreppers.ca. And look, you got some memes you want to send us or some comments, questions?
Yeah, whatever.
So Doug and his wife are saying here, with the spring and summer approaching amongst this COVID pandemic, my wife has asked me to see if Eric and you could do a segment about prepper gardening tips and what are the best plants to grow for prepping and storage. I'm not a gardener. I certainly, well, put it this way, maybe I'll show you what I've got going, because it's one of these facets that we should all be experimenting with and playing with, but I don't feel qualified.
So his question was just about storing the gardening supply or the gardening results?
What are the best plants to grow?
Oh, the best plants.
For right now, I've got, and maybe I'll take the camera off here and I'll show you my little seedlings I got here because I'm quite happy with them in a second. But if it was me, and I got a lot of seeds stored and things like that, but I'm not a farmer.
Honestly, sorry to interrupt you. I just thought the one thing that you could talk about all different sorts of things about what would make a plant good to grow, like the yield, how many calories you get per amount of water, but I think honestly, if I had to pick one thing that would make a plant good to grow, would be something that's indigenous to your area, because that means it's going to survive off the natural amount of precipitation. It's not going to be as ravaged by whatever bugs and animals you have there and things like that. It'll just grow more easily if it's naturally from that region. You're not trying to grow passion fruit, or not passion fruit, dragon fruit or whatever in somewhere where it's snowing, which would be basically impossible. So growing the things that will grow naturally there without a huge amount of intervention would be the best bet.
Yes, and we were supposed to have Canadian garden. I forget her name. She's a nice lady. I had a question.
You told me.
And she just fizzed out, just never got back to me, but I'll show you what I'm doing here. Like I said, I'm not a gardener, but I certainly love, it's one of these things that you get into preparedness and you fall in love with these other areas. So I'm learning about gardening and doing things that are garden related because at the core I'm a prepper, but at the same time, I'm also really enjoying the byproduct of what it is. So give me a second here. I'm going to set up my light.
Sure. In the meantime, I will say that I agree with, I was going to say, make the exact same point that SPQR did. He said, barring any other special considerations, the best plants are sweet potatoes, and at least potatoes of some kind. I think sweet potatoes are better, but the amount of yield and calories that you would get and how typically easy they are to grow depending on where you're doing it, it's hard to beat that, because a lot of people look at, if you're looking at stuff like all sorts of vegetables, you're just not going to get that much calories and nutrition other than, certain vitamins and minerals out of a lot of these plants, any of the leafy greens, even a lot of vegetables. It's just, you just don't get that much actual calories. You would have to grow massive amounts of it, eat massive amounts of it, with the exception of the grains. But the grains are a lot harder to process. If you have a field of corn or wheat or something, you can't just eat it. Potatoes, especially sweet potatoes, they grow like a weed in a lot of places. You can grow them in all different types of conditions. And then you get literally pounds and pounds of crops that are very calorically dense, and they store well too. That's another consideration. So you can put potatoes in like a dark paper bag and just stash them in a closet or something. Whereas a lot of these other, oh, there you go, right there. You got some sweet potato.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that because I've got this one here, and a friend of mine, ironically, is a farmer. He says one thing you should do is you cut out different sections where it's growing. It's got these sprouts, and you let it dry out for a day or two. And what that does is it inhibits the bacterial growth.
Yeah.
And then you can plant this, and you've got your
man with the sweet potatoes. You can literally snap off those runners and plop them in a jar of water, and they'll grow roots of their own too. It's like impossible not to grow sweet potatoes. So that's why it's such a great choice.
I'm not a farmer, I'm not, an expert when it comes to this sort of stuff, but, I'm certainly experimenting. I've got my little grow light here, green onions, white onions, peppers. Thankfully, I haven't sprouted yet.
It's awesome.
Eggplants. Got some basil over here. Got some beans, yellow beans as well. So it's, for me, it's sort of a lifelong process. It's like I love growing stuff now, and I got into it because of preparedness, and I certainly I've got a lot to learn, but it's one of these things above and beyond watching preparedness YouTube videos that people out there should be doing. Don't watch the videos, go out there, start experimenting. You could spend your life just learning about growing stuff, and it's a very rewarding thing to do. So I thought I'd share that with you guys. But yeah, maybe we should try and get a gardening expert on at some point. Well, I've been trying to.
Yeah, for sure. We'll get some. There's plenty of them out there that have some great insights. And I would like David the Good specifically focused on survival gardening, which is why. And I met him in the past. He's a great dude. So I'll definitely see if he's up for doing another live stream of some kind.
The time of year to do it. I mean, it's certainly.
Yeah, it's going to be spring, basically. Yeah, I have to decide what I can grow out here. I don't have a lot of space in the new spot, and obviously the weather is extremely inhospitable.
Yeah, it's a different,
incredible temperatures, extreme lack of precipitation, that sort of stuff. So
I wonder if you could do aquaponics in your climate.
You certainly could. Yeah, you certainly could. You just have to shade it and then take some steps to try and eliminate a massive amount of evaporative loss, but you can do aquaponics. Yeah.
So, I'll be the first to admit, Doug, probably doesn't answer your questions. I don't know what the best plants would be to grow.
I would always try potatoes. Like I said, try potatoes.
Yeah. You want to look at what's most calorie intense. What you get the best bang for your buck.
Right. For the word, and like when you talk about just the amount of sheer, and like I said, you can store potatoes relatively easily, and cook them easily. Like there's just they're really calorically dense. Like they grow up. There's just a lot of benefits. Not knowing anything about your situation.
Yeah.
Like in Florida, I didn't really have to even do anything. I just stuck some of the slips in the ground, and they would take over a whole mound of dirt, and then you would rip them up months later, whatever. Get the potatoes.
CLM, show us the real grow room chair.
It's interesting in Vegas now that weed is basically completely legal, but they have an interesting law, which is a sort of a protection thing for the industry. Is you're allowed to grow your own plants up to however many, I don't know, 12 or whatever, in the state, but not if you're within 20 miles of a dispensary, which is bizarre. So only the people out in the boonies can grow their own legally. But the penalties for having and growing your own and everything are just much, much less than they were in the past. Yeah, Vegas is growing even drier. Lake Mead is at some pretty desperately low levels.
I'd like to see you guys hunt, then pop Liberty caps. What does that mean? American term?
I don't know. Desk pop.
Bust a cap in there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Emergency survival tips. Send us an email. rulthewasteland@gmail.com for Eric, or I'm at info at Ontario.
Sure.
He says, he or she says, I'm a gardening expert. Book it. We're an open book to guests. I'm just lazy trying to book people, but
yeah.
I mean, if you got some credibility and intelligence behind the preparedness channel, we can certainly weed out the people that are BSers.
Yeah.
Get on and talk to us about some gardening stuff. Now would be the right time to do it.
Yeah, shoot us an email if you're actually interested in being on the show.
Yeah, for sure. So I think
we roasted through an hour again really quickly. Seems to even go faster when it's just us BSing with the chat room.
yeah, that's all we got to do.
So next time we'll try to at least we'll have our 3 fantasy team draft for the SHTF fantasy draft. You already got one? Well, that's quick.
Anybody?
Not yet. I haven't. Yeah, I'm not gonna say it obviously if I did, but I haven't yet. Not specifically. I have a couple ideas about like things to look for, skill sets, but not any particular person.
Okay. Well, we should probably make this clear that bug out fantasy team, 3 members. This would be, we'll just say it's general, so it could include the bug outs. It could be, posts. 3 months.
Just shit the fan. You don't know what's going on really, I guess. So that's part of what you have to decide is what type of skill set you're going for.
We'll do a most extreme scenario. We'll just say it's an EMP worldwide, in 3 days. There's 3 people you got to grab. Just be like, okay, you're on my team.
Right.
And they could be in the past too, so they could not necessarily be alive.
Oh, they have to be. I think he said they have to be alive. They have to be current.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
CLM, did you say that?
That's what I thought he said. Nobody
I'd
from
like
the
to
past.
get this on your, like, Elon Musk.
Yeah, right.
I
I don't think he would be very useful.
No. So maybe just clarify that for us real quick. There's CLM. Do they?
Yeah. Does it have to be a current person, or can it be anyone as long as they were a real person?
Everything. Which is fun.
Yeah.
See Kyle, Johnny Cash for more.
Moral support. Yeah, but that's what we're saying. Did it have to be alive or not?
Yeah. All right. Well, waiting on CLM. Yes, you can dig up.
No, you can't. So yes, they have to be current. You can't dig up Lewis and Clark. So they have to be a real living person. All right, got it. That's what I assumed. That's what I thought you said. So that's where my mind was going.
Bees are a great prep. Okay, everybody's in their own enrolled in the chat. We should, what we should do is at 10 o'clock, just keep the stream going, and then you do your thing, I do my thing, and then that way people continue to chat. Because that's why they're here. They don't really, we're like background noise.
Yeah, right. They don't need us. We'll just sign on real quick and be like, chat's open, guys. We'll be back in an hour. I'm just going to go to the bathroom, have drinks.
Exactly. All right.
Cool. It was great, as usual.
Thanks, everybody. It's Jay from Pepper Logic, and we'll see you next week.
Absolutely. That's it. That's all I got. Check out rootofthewasteland.com. Check out Prepper Logic. Check out Advanced Prepper Concepts on Patreon. No, that's what are yours called? Advanced Prepper Concepts?
Got it. Yeah. I've got one coming out. If you want to wait 3 months, they're going to be released on my YouTube channel. So, yeah, it's good stuff. That's all I got to say.